Hi, I'm Lee. I'm on Ravelry as Louleigh and on Instagram as Instamatic Louleigh, and I have an Etsy shop where I sell knitting bags called Shop Louleigh, and this is my podcast about my life in textiles, I suppose. It sounds a bit grander than it is, really. Or maybe not, but I suppose it's an accurate description. So welcome to my podcast. It's lovely to have you along. I've been having a wonderfully relaxed day today. It's a Saturday, and taken the dogs for a walk in the park. We've had a bit of a play, and I've mowed the allotment, and it's just all been very nice and leisurely, and so I thought that I would round out my afternoon by coming and having a nice chat with you. As usual, it's wonderful to have you here, and it's nice to be chatting with you again. So that's what I've been up to. Yesterday I met up with a lovely chum, and we went to the British Wool Show over in York, and it was really, really good. I really hadn't known what to expect, how big it would be and what the quality of the vendors would be like. And it was probably maybe a little smaller than half the size of Yarndale, but there were some really interesting vendors there, but it wasn't really busy or rammed, and so you really got to have a good look at things, and so I probably purchased more than I would have had it been kind of a busy environment. You could talk to the vendors and they weren't flat out, and you didn't have to elbow people out of your way to get that one skein of yarn that you really badly wanted. In fact, you could leave it there and know it would be there when you came back. Well, it was, so that was probably just lucky. But yeah, it was a really nice event, and what was also nice is that it was only a half-hour drive for me, so that was really, really good. So yes, that's the blather. And the other thing is that we have a Ravelry group, and some of you popped over after my little chat about 9-inch circulars for sock knitting last time and confessed that you hated them as well. So I suspected I wasn't alone. I think people have said they're like Marmite. You either really like it or you really don't. And so there were quite a few other people like me that just found it really stressful on their hands and really not fun for knitting. But I know there's many of you that find that you can whisk up a pair of socks in the twinkling of an eye using those needles. So it was nice to hear from you all over in the group. If you haven't joined the group, it would be lovely for you to come and say hello. I always like putting faces to names and having a little chat, and seeing you chat amongst yourselves sometimes. That's really fun as well. All chums together or something uplifting like that. So, the order of events. Oh, I've got it on the wrong page. Crikey, I was about to start telling you stuff that I talked about 2 episodes ago. That's not much good. I'm not wearing anything of note today. I have on a second-hand shirt that I bought because I liked the colours, and a pair of jeans. So there you go, nothing of note. However, I have been finishing some things. This episode is going to be knitting and sewing. So there you go. I have some finished things that I wanted to talk about. And the first finished thing is my succulent shawl. I have finally finished this. It won't all fit in the shot, but I will have posted a picture of it at least in finishing glory. So if you want a more detailed picture, then have a look there. But I'm really pleased with this. The pattern is Succulent by Maria Monska. It's one that you can buy off Ravelry. And it kind of has these lace sections with some just plain stocking stitch sections. And the lace is really easily memorisable. But for some reason, every time I came to a lace section for the last two ones, I seem to have, my stitch count had gone awry somewhere in the stocking stitch section. And so I fudged it, and I was really worried that, you know how sometimes you'll fudge something and then you block it and you're just like, ooh, maybe I should have gone back and fixed that properly. Yeah, I fudged it and I can't see the mistakes, but I really started to feel like the lace was like some sort of brain training, and it shouldn't have been. It was really easy. Perhaps I should always have a lace project on the go to use as brain training, just to, you know, keep the cogs going. But it was an enjoyable knit, apart from my random weird stitch counts. And the pattern is easy. I did all of the repeats, and I used the yarn. What was that? I think it was Natural Born Dyers. Let me go back and have a look. I haven't made a note of it here. Ill-prepared podcaster. How uninformative. When did I last talk about this? Is it gone? Sock segment? I think it's Natural Born Dyers. I haven't talked about it for a while. Good grief. Anyway, I won't. It'll be on my Ravelry page. You can have a look here if you're interested. It's such a dark coloured yarn, and it is hand dyed, and so I had assumed it would bleed, and it didn't at all. And it hasn't lost any of the depth of colour. It's exactly as it was in the ball. Yeah, so that was really nice. And as I say, it was a relatively easy knit, so I don't know why I've gone astray with it. What else was I going to say about this? I like to block my shawls within an inch of their life, partly because I think if I've gone to the effort of knitting lace, I want the wilderness dog to be able to see it. Clearly, I like to really open up the lace so you can, you know, see how pretty it is. And so I thought I would show you my blocking setup. Basically, well, I used to pin everything to the carpet, but the hairy man took offence to me pinning things into the new underfelt. And so I just got some of these playmat things. I think lots of people have these. You can buy a Knit Pro version, but I noticed they're quite expensive. Whereas I think I've got at least, I think I've got about 20 of these. And they came in packs of 10 and were something like $2.99. So, yeah, and they work really well. And I just you know, put them together in a kind of a shape that's the same as the shawl. And then I have a set of blocking wires that I've had for a little while and have used a little bit now. They are Laserdash knitting from Laserdash Knitting Accessories, which is on Etsy. And I picked up these ones because compared to the other blocking wires that I could get locally, they were actually quite reasonably priced at the time. They came from Israel, and I had ordered a small set, and because she didn't have exactly what I wanted, well, she had run out of stock. And so when everything came back in, she contacted me. She was really communicative, so the service was still really good despite that. Yeah, so when they came back into stock, she sent me the deluxe set, which is brilliant. I mean, I've never used all those wires, but I've got loads of extras if I have to block more than one shawl at once or something fancy like that. But as I say, if you're looking for reasonably priced blocking wires, then I thought these were quite good. And I also like that they come in a small package. Some blocking wires come in tubes or quite large packages, whereas this is just nice and compact. So yeah, that's my blocking setup. So the next thing that I have to show you is my enchanted Mesa, which I have actually had finished for a while. I've just realised I've not clipped off some of my ends after I've washed it. They're still poking out, but hey ho, never mind. I actually had finished for a little while, but of course it's been too warm to, I don't know why I'm trying to show you this in this little wee space. I'll show you the good bit. Here we go. be interesting. But I've had it finished for a little while now, and of course it's been quite warm, so I haven't worn it very much at all yet. But I just wanted to tell you about some of the alterations that I had made. Let me do the good podcaster thing. The pattern is Enchanted Mesa by Stephen West, and I used a selection of double knit yarns from Blacker, and I used my lovely dog Barney as my inspiration, and he has passed away now, so I'm very pleased to have this tribute to him. Yes, it gives me warm fuzzies. Yes, so I made a couple of adjustments to the pattern, not big ones. You'll remember, if you've watched before, you'll remember that I had gone terribly astray with the sizing and had to rip the whole thing out, and I basically started from scratch, so I've knitted it twice. And I think last time I was talking to you about it, I was whinging about endless stocking stitch. But the weird thing is about this pattern, and I think it happens with other Stephen West patterns as well, is that I got to the end and I instantly wanted to make another one right now. However, I have resisted the temptation, partly because I don't have enough yarn to do it. But I think it would be fun to do it in lots of different... I've used neutrals for this one, but it would be fun to do it in lots of different colour combinations. So, there are three sections where I departed from the pattern. I did want it to have... A lot of people have made it without this dropped armpit, this weird armpit that sort of joins on at your elbow. Mainly so that you can put a coat over top of it and flap your arms about if you want to. I decided not to do that because I wanted to maintain the aesthetic of Stephen West's pattern and the unusualness of it, avant-garde or something like that. Yeah, and I knew that it was going to be kind of like a statement piece in my wardrobe, not something that I just popped on to go down to the allotment. But I did just join in the arm where I felt like it. So I think it had got down to about my elbow, and I just thought, well, I'll join that on now. I didn't actually go for I think he said something like 11 inches or something like that. So I just joined on the arm where I felt like it. The other thing is that it has the shaped hem that is done with short rows, and I didn't do all of the short rows because it was getting quite long at that point, and I just thought I'll finish here. So I didn't want the hem to be any more slanted. I just wanted to put a little bit more length on it and finish it off, and I think the length is actually quite nice. I think it's actually turned out to be quite a flattering jumper actually. And the other thing was that I decided to make the sleeves just 3/4 length rather than full length sleeves because I thought that would look really heavy. But I didn't want to make them short sleeves either. I quite like a 3/4 length sleeve. But I think after I've washed it, the yarn did relax a bit and they've ended up a bit longer. So I may actually rip back the sleeves a little bit because they're kind of more bracelet length now. And that's just a weird look. But yeah, those were the alterations, and I'm really happy with it. As I say, given it a few weeks and forgotten about the endless stocking stitch, I would knit it again in the twinkling of an eye. And I can't wait till it's chilly enough to wear it. Yeah, that would be dead fun. I think it's going to be lovely, and it feels so beautiful. I think I used a lot of yarns from the Blacker Elegance collection. I think I might have discontinued that now. And it has a bit of alpaca in it, so it has this lovely halo. So I'm really looking forward to putting that on when it gets a bit chillier. It's going to be lots of fun to wear. So that is all the knitting that I have to talk about today, and I think all of that brings my stash dash total to about 2,500 metres. So clearly I'm probably not going to make it to the 5 kilometre or anything fancy like that. Definitely not 15 or even 10. I don't really even aspire to make it that far. but I think I'll definitely make it to the 3-kilometre mark. Pardon me. And I've actually been enjoying really clearing down all my works in progress and working on fewer things, because I think when I started Stash Dash, I had something like 13 projects, and I'm into single figures now. I think I'm down to 9, and it's nice to, I thought, because I've got fewer projects, I'm working on things that aren't knitting, and actually making some significant progress. I just feel like my making life is more diverse because I've got fewer things going on, and I'm spending time doing different things like sewing rather than just knitting as the default. And I've been spending time spinning. Stand by, that's coming in the next episode. Will be all about the spinning. But I have been sewing, and you will have seen that I was starting the iris pattern, which is a pair of shorts from Colette. And so I started off by making a toile in these lovely old curtains that the charity shop ladies gave me. I had made some alterations to the pattern, because what I usually find with trousers is that if I base the size on my hip measurement, they're not wide enough at the side of the thigh, but there's enough room in the bum to fit a loaf of bread back there, which isn't pretty. So from front to back I'm not wide, but I've got, I suppose Trinny and Susanna would have said I've got saddlebags, which is quite a derogatory way of referring to my thighs, I think. But anyway, so what I did was I took my hip measurement and I chose a size smaller, and then I adjusted the front and back pattern pieces and put the extra measurement, just sliced it open and put the extra bit of width that I needed, so that I would have extra room at the side of the thigh and not over the buttocks. So I hope you can see that there. I'll stick it in front of my face. I hope you can see this little wedge of paper that I've put in there. I basically, I think I just divided the difference between the hip measurement for the size that I divided, how can I say this? I took the hip measurement of the size that was recommended for me, and I subtracted the hip measurement of the smaller size, and then I divided that, what was left, by 4 and put it into the front and back piece, because there are 4 of those, so you'll get the whole thing down the circumference. I think I'm doing that thing where I just explain things badly. Anyway, I stuck a wedge in to make them wider. And then I made my toile out of curtains. That's the front side there. I didn't put the pockets or anything like this, just a quick and dirty job. And they fitted really well. They didn't have those horrible arrows that point at your crutch when everything pulls out this way. Do you know what I mean? Those little winkly bits that sort of go, my crutch is here, my crutch is here. And they fitted really nicely. So I went forth boldly and I cut out the real thing. And I've been really enjoying doing those. I'm making it out of the leftovers from my peony dress. Let me just get this straight. So this is how far I've got so far. You let me come backwards. There we go. That's how far I've come so far. There are pockets here in the seam here. It's a really flattering style actually. But I decided that I would finish the inside of these a little bit better than I did it on the peony dress and just spend some more time. So I have been doing a Hong Kong finish on the seam allowances, This was an old top that I had made, and I had worn it an awful lot, and it was just starting to go a bit grungy under the armpits and that sort of thing. But it was a beautiful Liberty print pattern fabric, and I thought it would look really nice on the inside of this. So yes, I have been doing a Hong Kong finish on my seams. So this is just bias tape, essentially, that I've made myself. And the difference between a bound seam and a Hong Kong finish is the back side. So that's what it looks like on the front side. And on the back side, all I've done is folded it over. You can see the raw edge there. And then stitched in the ditch to stitch it down. Whereas with a bound seam, you wouldn't have that raw edge. It would be tucked in so that it looked like this on both sides. And the reason I haven't done that is that would add more bulk to this back section here, and I didn't want this. And even I'm not going to look back there, so that will just look nice when I look inside my trousers and my shorts and put them on. And it has been time consuming to do it. I've done it around the pockets. Actually, the inside of the pocket, I've got a little bit of that fabric, and you can see it. When I put my hands in my pockets, I will get a flash of that fabric. Yeah, it's been quite time consuming to do, but I thought the practice of stitching in the ditch to stitch it down would be good practice to be accurate with my sewing machine. And I just took my time. It's not perfect, but I'm happy with it. And I've gotten better as I've gone along. So yeah, I think it's nice to feel like I have a little bit more control over my sewing machine rather than just going as I go along. So I've done all those seam allowances now, and I have been putting in the facing at the waistband. And I'm using a woven horsehair facing. It's still machine washable, and just stitching that in. My stitching isn't the most even or neatest, but it's durable, so that will stay in there. I don't like using iron-on facings because over time they corrode the fabric, or when you're ironing, because they're heat activated, they'll come unglued and then stick themselves back on again, and so sometimes you can end up with wrinkles. And I just think that over a long period of time, I prefer a sewn-in facing. It just seems to stay neater. Yeah, I also like these woven facings rather than sort of like the Vilene ones that you get, because they can be quite pilly, and these ones just stay nice for such a long time. I always check to make sure that it's machine washable, because some woven facings will shrink, and so you don't want your inside to be shorter than your outside. So yeah, I do check to make sure that they're pre-shrunken and machine washable, but I think they just give the longevity of the garment is so much nicer with a woven non-iron-on interfacing. So I've still got the front one to do, and then I just have to do the zip and the hem, and I say that, but it's probably, I've still got all this hand sewing and 2 seams to do. However, given that, what did the P&E dress take me, 5 years? And this is sort of more like 5 weeks. I might actually wear these this summer, which would be grand. So yes, and I have plans to make a little top to go with these as well. Now that I've kind of gotten the hang of my bust adjustments, I want to try out another pattern that I've used before. It was actually the pattern that I used to make the top, where I used this fabric. And I got a lot of wear out of that top, but as I say, the bust didn't fit quite right, and so I'm hoping I can improve on what I have done before. So anyway, I have come to the end of all of the things that I had to talk to you about today. It's been lovely to drop in and have a chat with you, and I hope you're having a marvellous weekend. I do hope to be back again soon because I have some spinning things to talk to you about. So as I said earlier, the next episode will be all about the spinning, and I shall see you then. Have a lovely weekend and cheerio!